Good evening. Welcome, everyone. I am so glad you're here. Let me know in the comments if you're new to DTF and where you're joining us from. I'm going to give everyone about 30 to 60 seconds to hop on, and then we're going to get started because I want to honor your time this evening. Okay, whether you're watching me live or catching the replay later, I am so glad you're here. Let's jump right in. Tonight isn't about convincing you to buy another machine. It's about helping you stop wasting money and finally know your next step. So right now, please take out a pencil, a pen, a crayon, and some paper so you can take notes. Make sure you stay to the very end because you never know what surprises I have in store. So the plan for tonight is that you are going to leave with a clear decision process for DTF. So my name is Kenyatta Jabbar. I am the owner and founder of Purposely Crafted. And just a little about me. In 2019, I lost my job unexpectedly. And I decided out on a whim to buy a Cricut machine. I thought that, I could make some nice shirts for my children, update their backpacks so that they would have custom items as well. But little did I know during that time I would go down a rabbit hole. Every YouTube video I watched, I tried different hacks. I saw about DTF. I tried to do the hack with the powder in the film and using my heat press as a curing machine. But the problem wasn't DTF. The problem was I didn't have a decision process. So when you have clarity, you stop guessing and you start moving forward. So the biggest mistakes that I see beginners make, they ask, what printer should I buy? Now, this question focuses on a specific tool or equipment, which may limit the broader understanding necessary for a business success. But you should be asking, which business model fits my life? You have to look at your life and see how each business model will fit in. And that is why I created the DTF path. So this is the overview of what we will be going over tonight. Path 1 is ready to press transfers. Path 2, gang sheets. Path 3 is print on demand. And path 4 is print your own. So the objective here is to help you understand that the print ready to press transfers, is the lowest risk way to start making custom apparel without investing thousands of dollars in equipment. So let's start with that path. I recommend this for most beginners because if you've been watching YouTube, you've probably seen those beautiful DTF printers and thought, that's what I need. But what if I told you you don't? Ready to press transfers allows someone else to handle the printing. You simply order the transfers and press them onto shirts or any other apparel using a heat press. That means you can start learning the business before taking on the responsibility of learning to press. So I recommend this path if you have a limited budget, you don't have extra space in your home, you want to start earning before buying expensive equipment, and you want to learn one skill at a time and are testing whether this business is really for you. So the startup cost for ready to press. So I tell people you don't have to spend thousands of dollars. A realistic budget is somewhere between $300 and $800. And that all depends on the heat press that you choose, how many blanks and transfers you purchase to get started. And that's a whole lot different than jumping straight into a printer setup. Wouldn't you agree? But there are some pros and cons to ready to press transfers. So one advantage is low risk. The start quality, you can start quickly. There's no technical printer knowledge needed, and there's less equipment to maintain. But the disadvantage of ready to press is you must wait for the transfers to arrive. You're depending on a vendor, and your profit may shift and be lower because you're having to outsource buying those transfers. But an additional benefit is you can focus on learning customers instead of troubleshooting printers. Now, I don't want anyone to think that this is just a hobby. People build real businesses using outsourced transfers. The possibilities of the apparel you can sell is endless. The income depends on your marketing, depends more on your marketing than whether you have a printer. So let me give you some beginner mistakes that I see that are common. You buy 50 shirts of all kinds of different colors. You buy every blank on the market that you see. You're ordering transfers that you like for designs, and you haven't sold any of them yet or done any research what people are wanting. Or you're spending too much time researching instead of making apparel and showing what you can do. So, my advice is start small. Find a reliable vendor, choose a handful of apparel colors. Black, white, and gray are great starters. Press, sell, then grow. Now, how many of you before tonight thought you needed a printer before you got on this class? Who likes the idea of starting with less risk? Drop a yes in the chat if that path sounds like you. So now that was our easiest path to get started. Now let's talk about another option that gives you even more flexibility, and that is the gang sheets. Now, I want to help you understand that gang sheets are an excellent way to maximize value, lower cost per design, and give you more flexibility once you begin in creating or collecting multiple designs. Now, let's talk about those gang sheets. A lot of people hear the term gang sheet and immediately think it's something complicated. I know I did in the beginning. I had no idea what a gang sheet was, but it's actually pretty simple. A gang sheet is just one large sheet that contains multiple designs instead of ordering each design individually. Think of it like this. When you go to the grocery store, buying one bottle of water usually costs more per bottle than buying a whole case. A gang sheet works the same way. You get more value because you're fitting multiple designs onto one sheet. And these designs can be the same design repeated multiple times, different sizes of the same design, or several completely different designs all on one sheet. All you have to do once you get them and they arrive to you is cut them apart and press as needed. So now I would recommend this path if you already have several designs ready. You sell at vendor events. You create family reunion shirts. You make shirts for schools, churches, sports teams, or businesses because you can get so many more of those designs per square inch of gang sheet than buying them individually and will cost you less. And you want to lower your transfer cost. Now, the startup cost for gang sheets typically is between $350 to $900, and that just depends on how many transfers you order. You're still going to need the heat press, the blank apparel, gang sheet transfers, the basic pressing supplies, but you're staying in a reasonable startup range while increasing your efficiency. Now, some pros and cons of the gang sheet. Now, great. Pros, you can save money on transfers, you get more designs in one order, you can build inventory faster and maximize every inch. But the cons are you need artwork prepared before ordering, and bad planning can waste space. The risk of using gang sheets is ordering designs that haven't been tested with customers yet can lead to inventory that doesn't sell. Trust me, I know from what I speak. The income potential is best for businesses that have consistent orders and event driven selling. It works especially well if you're selling at vendor markets, pop up shops, church events, school events, community festivals. Because you've lowered your transfer costs, you have the opportunity to improve your profit margin. But some of the biggest mistakes I see beginners make, and this is where I see that it costs them a lot of money. They fill up a gang sheet with designs they hope will sell instead of designs they already know people want. A full gang sheet is automatically a useful gang sheet. That's not true. You need to fill it with purpose. Or they leave empty spaces on the sheet instead of maximizing every inch. When you get that sheet designed, there should be very little space, just enough space for you to cut your designs off of each individual design from the sheet. And another mistake is ordering before checking the design sizes. A design that looks great on the computer may be too large or too small once it's pressed on a shirt. Now, my recommendation is if you're already making shirts consistently and have multiple designs, this is the next step I would consider. Don't start with a gang sheet just because they're cheaper per print. Start with a gang sheet when you already know what your customers are buying. That way, you're investing in proven products, not guessing. Now, has anyone here ever ordered a gang sheet before? Can you see how this would save you money? If so, tell me, how do you think it would save you money? Type it in the chat. And if you sell at vendor events, could this help you prepare inventory ahead of time? Now, I want to pause for a minute here because this is where a lot of people can get confused. These are not two different businesses. Ready to press versus gang sheets. They're not two different businesses. Same model, different ordering. You're still making custom apparel. You're still using outsourced DTF transfers. You're still pressing shirts with a heat press. The only difference is how you place your order. Think of it again like shopping at Costco. Sometimes you buy one item because that's all you need. Other times you buy in bulk because you know you're going to use it. That's exactly what gang sheets are. So you see, DTF really isn't as complicated as the internet makes it sound. See, both paths use the exact same heat press, both use outsourced DTF transfers. The only difference is how you order them. So we're going to take a moment, just a nice clarity moment, because I want you to understand what this class for. Remember, the goal of this class is clarity. I don't want you leaving here with more terms floating around in your head. I want you leaving here understanding when each option makes sense. So now we've talked about two great ways to start without owning a printer. But what if you don't even want to keep inventory or press shirts yourself? We're going to look at another option that's becoming more and more popular, and that is print on Print on demand, or POD. So I want you to understand that print on demand is the lowest barrier to entry because you don't buy inventory or press shirt yourself, but you also give up some control and profit in exchange for convenience. So let's go ahead and talk about this path. It's a little different because you're not pressing shirts yourself. Instead, when someone places an order, a print on demand company prints it, packages it, and ships it directly to your customer. You're essentially the designer and the marketer while someone else handles the production. Print on demand companies are a fulfillment service. You upload your design to the platform, connect it to your online store, and when someone buys the order, it is automatically produced and shipped by the fulfillment company. You never touch the shirt. Now, I recommend this path if you don't have room for inventory, you don't want to invest in equipment right now, you enjoy creating designs and marketing, you want to test ideas before buying inventory, or you're looking for a hands-off fulfillment process. Now, startup costs for print on demand, this is the least expensive way to get started. Realistically, you can begin with around $50 to $300 depending on whether you invest in things like a website, design software, or marketing. You don't have to purchase shirts or transfers upfront because products are only made after someone places an order. Now, some pros and cons of POD, or print on demand. Now, I like this path because you don't need inventory, you don't need a heat press, you don't need a printer. Products are made only after they're sold, and you can offer a variety of products without storing them, and it's easy to test new designs. But there are trade offs. Your profit margins are usually lower. You have less control over print quality and packaging. Shipping times depend on the fulfillment company. And if something goes wrong with production, you're relying on someone else to fix it. Your customer doesn't, they're not going to the fulfillment company, they're coming to you. So if something goes wrong, it all falls back on you. Now, people can absolutely build a successful business with print on demand, but the biggest difference is that success usually comes from having strong designs and effective marketing, not from owning equipment. And the biggest mistakes I see people make are uploading dozens of designs without a plan, thinking customers will magically find their store. That's not going to happen. Ignoring marketing because they think the platform will do it for you. They're not. And choosing products they haven't researched or ordered a sample of themselves. And so you don't know what you're going to be getting from these fulfillment companies. Here. Now, I'm sharing this option with you because I want you to know it exists. It may be perfect, it may be the perfect fit for some of you, but if your goal is to create custom apparel for your local customers and build relationships in your community, I believe learning to press shirts yourself gives you more flexibility and control. So now we've looked at 3 ways to start without jumping into a printer, an expensive printer setup: the transfers, gang sheets, and print on demand. Now let's talk about the path everyone thinks they need from day one: buying your own DTF printer. Now, I want you to understand when owning a DTF printer may actually make sense for you, the responsibilities that come with it, and why it isn't the best starting point for everyone. So now we've arrived at this path. Now, when I first learned about DTF, I thought that I had to have a printer. That's where my mind went because that's what I saw people in their house printing and making these gorgeous designs. So I thought maybe I need one of those printers too. And I was thinking, well, if I'm really serious about this, I need my own printer. But here's what I learned. Owning a printer doesn't automatically make you more profitable. It simply gives you more control, but it also gives you more responsibility. So, here are some of the things that you're responsible for when you own a DTF printer. So you have the entire production process. You have to print the transfers, apply the adhesive powder, cure the transfers, maintain the printer, order ink and film, and troubleshoot any problems. So instead of outsourcing the printer, you're bringing that process into your own business. Now, I'd recommend this path if you have consistent orders coming in and are printing frequently enough to justify the investment. You have a dedicated workspace, you enjoy learning equipment and troubleshooting, and you want to maximize control over production, and you're ready to scale your business. Now, the startup costs for this is the most expensive. This is the most expensive path. Depending on your setup, you could easily invest anywhere from $3,000 to $10,000 or more once you include the printer, the curing equipment, the heat press, the computer, the RIP software, the inks, the film, the powder, and maintenance supplies. That's why I always encourage people to make sure this investment matches where they are in their business. So I love this path because you have complete control over production. You can print whenever you need to. It's a faster turnaround for custom orders, great flexibility for custom work, potentially lower transfer costs over time if you're producing consistently. But some of the cons are, I mean, let's keep it real. Printers require maintenance. The ink can clog, the equipment can break, supplies have to be stocked. There's a learning curve. If you don't print regularly, you may spend more money maintaining the printer than making money with it. Owning a printer can absolutely increase your earning potential, but only if you have enough volume to keep busy. The printer itself doesn't create income. Customers create income. The printer is simply a tool that helps you serve more customers efficiently. Now, the biggest mistakes that I see beginners make with this path is people finance a printer before they've made consistent shirt sales. They're trying to figure out how to make the printer payment instead of figuring out how to build a customer base. And another mistake is believing that owning a printer automatically means higher profits. If you don't have customers, the printer just becomes an expensive piece of equipment. So my recommendation, and I just want to be clear, I'm not against owning a DTF printer. In fact, it may absolutely be the right move one day. I just don't believe it has to be your first move. My recommendation is you build your knowledge, build your customer base, and build your confidence first. Then, if a printer makes sense for your business, you'll be making that decision from a position of growth, not pressure. So, how many of you thought this was where you had to start? Comment below. Now, after hearing the first three paths, has your thinking changed? Can you see why I wanted to save this path for last? Okay, so now I told you at the beginning of this class, my goal wasn't to tell you which path is the best. My goal was to help you discover which path is the best for you. Now let's use everything we've talked about to figure it out. If you have your DTF Path Decision Guide, go ahead and pull it out now. We're going to work through it together. If you don't have the guide yet, that's okay. Grab a sheet of paper or open the notes app on your phone and you can still follow along with us. As we go through these next questions, write down your answers. Don't overthink them. Don't overthink. There are no right or wrong answers, only the path that best fits your goals, your budget, your space, and your life. If you decide later that you'd like the complete worksheet to keep your answers organized, it's not too late to grab the DTF Path Decision Guide. I'll walk you through this exercise step by step and give you a place to refer and it'll give you a place to refer back to as your business grows. So, all right, let's figure out your path. All right. So, if you have your decision guide out, so here we go. This is where we want to start. So we're going to check the statement that sounds most like you right now. Not the you want to be, but the you right now. I want to test DTF without buying a lot of equipment or inventory. I already have several designs I want to press myself. I want to sell products without pressing, storing, or shipping them myself. I have consistent demand and want to research whether printing my own transfers could make sense later. So check which statement sounds most like you in this moment. All right, everybody got it? All right. So the next question, what resources do you currently have? And you're going to check all that apply. Do you have access to a heat press? If yes, check it. I have space to store blank products. If you do, check that one. I have money available for a small test order. I have several designs ready to order. I have customers or an audience already asking for products. I have limited workspace. I have limited time for production. I do not want to package and ship products myself. I'm still testing whether I want to build a DTF product business. So take a look at all those questions, check all those that apply. I'll give you a moment. All right, so the next section, what matters most to you right now? Now you're going to choose your top two, just the top two. So think about them as I'm telling you, but you don't have to ponder too long. Keeping my startup costs lower, testing my ideas before investing more, having control over pressing the final product, avoiding equipment purchases, avoiding inventory storage, saving production time, creating several designs at once, learning the process before expanding, building towards higher production volume later. So choose your top two. Okay, so now for those who have your guide, you're going to follow your answers. So your starting path may be path number 1, ready to press. So this is it'll fit you if you want to start small. You want to test designs before ordering larger quantities. You have access to a heat press. You want control over the blank product and final pressing. You're still learning what your customers want. If that sounds like you, your next step is choose one or two designs, research a vendor, and place a small test order before making a larger purchase. So that's path 1. Path 2, gang sheets. This path may fit you if you have multiple designs or sizes you want to order together. You understand or are ready to learn how to size and arrange your designs. You have a plan for the transfers you're ordering. You want to compare the cost of ordering several individual transfers with placing designs together on a gang sheet. If that sounds like you, your next step would be List the designs and sizes you actually need before building or ordering your first gang sheet. Remember, a full gang sheet is not automatically a useful gang sheet. Fill it with purpose. Now, for our third path, POD or print on demand. This path may fit you if you want to test selling products without buying production equipment. You do not want to keep blank inventory at home. You have limited production time or workspace. You want fulfillment and shipping handled by the provider. You understand that you still need to research quality, pricing, fees, shipping, and customer experience. If this sounds like you, your next step would be research and compare providers before choosing one. Order a sample when possible so you can evaluate what your customer may receive. And now, finally, path number 4. This path may be something to research later if you have consistent production needs, you understand your current transfer cost, you have researched the equipment, the maintenance, the supplies, workspace, and workflow involved. You are prepared for the responsibilities that come with maintaining and managing the printing process. If that sounds like you, your next step would be research the complete workflow and cost before purchasing equipment. Remember, buying equipment is not the only way to build a DTF business. So here is the final sheet on the decision path. And if you, for those of you who have the worksheet, you'll see right now, it says right now the DTF path I want to explore first is, and you write that down. So even if without the sheet, you can write that down. I choose this path because, why did you choose that path? Before I spend money, I need to research. List all the things that you need to research before you spend any of your good hard-earned money. My first small test will be, what will your first small test product be? Or will it be researching and talking to vendors? The date I want to complete my first test by is, and give yourself a date. Don't put some date, I want to test it eventually. Give yourself a deadline, give yourself a date. So you don't need to choose the biggest path. You don't need to choose the path someone on social media told you was the only way. And you do not need to make every decision today. Choose the path that makes sense for where you are now. Learn from it, then decide your next step. So if tonight gave you clarity and you're wondering what your next step should be, I've put together my purposely crafted DTF Clarity Starter Bundle. In this bundle, it includes the DTF decision guide we use tonight, my beginner supply list, my pressing guide, and my global vendor resource guide. These are the same type of resources I wish I had when I was getting started because they take the guesswork out of those first few steps and help you move forward with more confidence. If you're ready to stop researching and going in circles and start building your DTF business one purposely crafted step at a time, I'd love for you to grab the bundle. But one thing I keep getting asked by beginners is, okay, I know my path, but what do I do next? So that's exactly why I'm creating a 30-day DTF business launch. It's designed to walk you through your first 30 days of building your business, one purposely crafted step at a time. It's not quite ready yet, but if that's something you'd be interested in, make sure you're following me because I'll be sharing more about it soon. Now, but whether you decide to purchase the bundle or not, my biggest hope tonight is that I helped you realize something, I hope you realize you don't have to have everything figured out before you start. You don't have to own every piece of equipment. You don't have to know every answer. And you don't have to wait until everything is perfect. You just need to take the next step. Thank you so much for spending time with me this evening. I'm going to drop the link to the bundle in the chat. So if you are interested in picking it up, just click on the link. I truly appreciate you. I appreciate the time that you spent with me, and I can't wait to see where your DTF journey takes you. Remember, one purposely step at crafted step at a time. Thank you again for joining us this evening.